Well, good afternoon. This is the first video of its kind, I think, in that I'm in the house as opposed to out and about. I get quite a lot of questions via Facebook, via pictures I post on various other Facebook pages, etc. That asking me what kind of gear I'm using, or what sleeping bag is that, or what tent is that, etc. etc. So based on the fact I've just been on a winter camp, if you'll see my video that I've posted entitled New Year's Eve Snow something, can't remember what I called it, New Year's Eve winter camp or whatever. Anyway, I can put a link in there, that's not a problem. But based on that, I just thought I'm not going to review any gear. I'm just going to go through basics of what I use, so if anybody's interested, or if anybody's thinking of taking a step up to winter, they may be able to decide based on what I've used and how successful it's been, whether they can use it or not. Let's get started. I'm going to start off with my sleeping bag, so I'm just going to move this coffee out of the way. The sleeping bag I use is a Rab Ascent 900. Now, Rab don't have typically the usual comfort ratings where they have. Most sleeping bags will have a comfort, extreme, and a high. I think it's high. Basically, based on the highest temperature it's comfortable at, the lowest temperature it's comfortable at. Well, the lowest temperature is usually survival mode. So in other words, you won't get a night's sleep, but you will live. And then you've got your comfort rating, which is the kind of what you can be comfortably sleeping at. These can always be taken with a pinch of salt anyway, because women sleep differently to men, body temperature wise, so I've been told. And everybody's different. Some people sleep cold, some people sleep warm, so it's really hard to gauge temperature gauges. Rab do it slightly different. They just give a temperature, which is kind of a comfort rating. And the one on this one I'm going to get out is this is Rab Ascent 900. It's a big one. I haven't got a very big table, unfortunately. As you can see, it's quite lofted up. This is a 900, and this has a temperature rating of one temperature rating of, I think it's -18, which in England, or well in Britain, you're never likely to get through to. I mean, in the Highlands in Scotland, at a push you might do, but -18. I slept in this. It was -6 the other day. I slept in this in. I had some thermal leggings on and a t-shirt and a mid-layer, and I was plenty warm enough, and it got to -6 and possibly even colder with the wind chill. But as you can see, I've only had it out of this bag for 2 minutes. It's lofted up quite a lot. Best thing about this, not a review, but I'm just going to say a little bit about it. Two things about it, well, 3 things. Firstly, got a cracking drawstring to pull the baffle in around your head, so that will pull in right around your head like a hood and really keep you warm, because it's super padded. You've also got a baffle here, you can't quite see it, another one that has a shoulder baffle, so if you can see this will pull in really tight and come in around your shoulder, stop those drafts out. It's got the usual zip baffles. There you go, you can see that. -18, it says there, or 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're talking Celsius when I talk temperatures, just so if anybody's overseas watching, don't get confused. But yeah, this is certainly a warm enough sleeping bag for most British conditions. It's not the smallest when you pack it down. It packs down reasonable, but it's absolutely worth it. Like I say, it weighs about, I think about a kilo. I've never weighed it roughly, but about 1.5 kilos, which, it's not mega light, but then not much winter kit is mega light, is it? And just so before we go any further anyway, just want to say I'm not recommending kit to anybody, and I'm not saying you should or shouldn't take any of this kit. This isn't me telling you what to take, because everybody's different. Every person in the world has a different take on what they should and shouldn't take, and what they can live with and what they can't. I know people who go out bivvy camping in -10. That's not for me. I'd rather have a bit more comfort when it's that cold. So yeah, everybody's different. This is what I take, and this is what I took in my most recent camp. So I'm not telling you what to take, but when you're surfing the internet looking for ideas of what to use for winter kit, it's always great to find a video where someone's telling you what they've used and what's been successful, rather than just going on reading random reviews. It's great to go out and see someone's actually had it in use and can vouch for it. And I would say I've had this down to -6, plenty warm enough, and I wasn't even, if you wanted to go out in really cold temperatures, even to -18, put extra layers on. Get some more merino base layers, and I mean, I just use, if I'm honest with you, my base layers are just damn art. They were like, I think 25 quid for the pair, and they've been sufficient, even in -6, so you don't have to spend a fortune, but again, it's your choice. Okay, what I will do with everything I'm going to talk about today, if I can, I'll put a link in for everything I've done and talked about, so that if anybody wants to have a look. Again, they're not affiliate links, I don't get any commission for anybody clicking on the links. Flipping heck, I've got like 300 followers, so I'm not in the big leagues with the rest of them. So yeah, so I'm going to talk about my next piece of equipment, which is great. This is it's a travel aluminium foil sleeping mat, 150 centimeters by 200 centimeters. Now, I bought this from eBay, and I don't think it was even sold as a sleeping mat. I think it was sold as a picnic blanket, simply because I wanted something when it's colder, like really cold. Sometimes you sat around in your tent and there's a lot of floor space that is freezing, you know, especially when you're pitching on snow, the floor can be really, really cold. And I got this. Now, it's probably far too big. I might cut it down to size. I won't fold it out the whole way. And it was about 5 or 6 quid or something on eBay. Now, it's not mega thick. It's slightly padded. It's not got any, it's not like bubble wrap in it. I would say it's a millimetre thick, if that. That's why I thought if I get a big one, I can double it over. So yeah, I use that, and that covers basically the full floor of my tent. Like I said, I won't fold it all, it's massive, but you can see it's quite big. 1.5 meters by 2 meters, which is more than enough for a solo, the Oex Solo I use. Plenty of, I say once you double it over, to sit on that, I know some people say foil mats don't create any insulation. I'm not going to get into the science about it because I don't know, but all I can say is when I have this folded over on the floor and I'm sitting in my tent on that, it's definitely a difference between sitting on that and just sitting on the ground sheet. There's a massive difference. Okay, so next piece of kit I'm going to talk about is the Thermarest NeoAir Xtherm, which is my sleep mat of choice. Now, it's specifically designed for very cold temperatures with an R rating of 6.9. Now, if you're not familiar with R ratings, it's similar to sort of TOG ratings on a duvet. So the higher it is, the warmer it'll keep you, allegedly. Especially obviously when paired with a good sleeping bag. So the Thermarest NeoAir Xtherm, which is this one, 6.9 R rating, I believe, which is pretty high. I'll be honest with you, I don't know how high it goes. I've seen some slightly higher, but not much higher. This is a very popular mat. One of the reasons I went for it. Now, a lot of people, I'm not going to get it out of here because I struggle to get these back in once I get them out. So I'll put some pictures in, and you'll have seen in my videos anyway what it looks like. But this is say 6.9, and a lot of people will say with this that what puts them off is that it crinkles a lot. Now, part of the reason this keeps you so warm is it's kind of got some, I won't say tin foil, it's not tin foil, but it's got like a foil lining in the middle of it, which obviously what keeps the heat reflecting, your own body heat reflecting back to you, etc. And that's why it keeps it so warm. Now, that is allegedly what makes it so crinkly. A lot of people say it's like sleeping on a crisp packet. Now, I wouldn't say I'm the lightest sleeper, but I'm certainly not a heavy sleeper, and I do move a fair amount in my sleep, and it's never kept me awake. I mean, let's face it, usually when you're, well, where I camp, it's blowing a gale anyway, so I can't usually hear anything above the wind or the rain. So if it's peeing it down with rain, you're not going to hear a few rustles from your sleeping mat, are you? Okay, next bit of kit I'm going to talk about is my cooking kit. Now, I don't do a lot of cooking. Mostly what I use my cooking kit for is pretty much boiling water to put on rehydrated meals. And as you'll see from the last video, sometimes boiling milk, but we don't want to talk about that. So yeah, the first bit of cook kit is my stove. So here we go. This is the MSR Pocket Rocket. I didn't get the deluxe. I think the next one was the deluxe. I didn't get the deluxe simply because the only difference is it's got a piezo, if you can pronounce it, piezo igniter. And I just thought it'd be one of those things to fail on me. Yeah, I've just got that sort of look, and I thought if anything's going to break down, it'll be the piezo igniter. So yeah, so that's a pocket rocket. As you can see, it's pretty tiny. Screws on the top of your canister, and it's brilliant. Again, when I was buying a stove I read a million reviews. I read a million reviews on different stoves and what to buy, and there's all your Jetboil options, your Minimo, your Jetboil, I can't, there's so many of them, I don't And I just thought, I just want something that boils water, but it's going to boil it quickly, with less hassle, and it's going to pack down small. And as you can see from that, I mean, it folds in on itself. I mean, it's tiny. I mean, Mum, I showed it to my mum, and she thought I was joking with her, because she said, that's not a stove. No, and it is. It's just so tiny, and it's a great piece of kit. It's noisy. I mean, it's called a jet boil because it fires a rocket out, you know, when it's on cooking. But it's actually, I can't fault it. It's never let me down. As you can see from, I think I'm not reviewing it again, but you can probably see just here on the top of it, it's got like mini windshields, just a tiny. It doesn't make a massive difference, but it's just protecting each third of the. It's a bit close there. Each third of the actual jet that's coming out of the flames, so it gives it a little bit of protection. Never had any issues with it, and people said, oh, you can't use them in low temperatures. Well, I've used it with -6 with a canister that's been sat outside, well, you know, in my vestibule porch area of the tent for overnight from, you know, in -6, and it lit first time. So I used that, and I combined that with, now this is a bit of a strange one. Now this is the Oex, see, I don't always buy expensive stuff. This is the Oex Cookset. Now this comes with like a, you've probably seen them, there's kind of a generic cookset everywhere does them, and it comes with a lid that goes on the top that's also supposed to be a pan, but it's about half the size of that. Now I bought this when I started on a budget, and I found it really good. You can see from the bottom it's got this extra thing where it catches all the heat and regulates heat better, and so it holds the heat much better, and it burns, you know, super fast and warms everything up really quickly. When I was thinking about upgrading, I thought, I'll tell you what, I'll get a lighter one that's a bit lighter and, you know, nicer and cooler, you know. So I spent a bit, not a lot of money, but I think 25 quid on another pot, which was just a pot with this lid, and it's a Soto. Oh, I'll put it underneath because I can't remember what it's called, but a Soto pan, hot pan or something. Anyway, and it's just literally a little bit smaller than that, just marginally smaller. No handles, I don't think. Yeah, and it was like 25 quid, so it was loads better, loads lighter, because I was just trying to lighten up my kit a bit. And I took it out, the first time I took it out, and boiled some water. It took forever. I really disappointed in how long it took. And I know it's not all about speed, but sometimes you don't want to be sitting around ages boiling water, do you? You know what I mean? And this, so I ended up sort of combining, this lid fits perfectly on here. So I ended up combining the lid of the Soto, sacking that off, putting it in the cupboard for a spare, and just going back to this, because this boils water so fast. You know, the combination of the MSR pocket rocket and that, it's just super fast. I mean, you saw how fast it boiled the milk. Okay, so my latest piece of kit is something I've not had that long. I've just been on a couple of camps with it. It's my Osprey Atmos AG65. And I have to say, I love this. I upgraded from, I had a Farpoint, an Osprey, a Farpoint Trek 70. So 70 litre, and this is 65. And this just feels bigger. I don't know, I mean, obviously it's clearly not, because the other one's 70 litre, but I think just the way it's set out, the previous one I had, I don't know why I bought it. I mean, I like it, it's a good rucksack, but I think I rushed and I should have got something more traditional like this. Because the way the other one loads, it's got front loading, it's designed more for going around the world backpacking, and the top load, the sort of front is a whole zip, so you can zip out like it up in a luggage compartment in a suitcase. And this one's just more traditional, but it's got pockets and like compartments, and you know, it's I can't speak highly enough of it. And the anti-gravity thing, you know, which goes on your hips to make it a little bit lighter. I mean, it's not as amazing as everybody makes out, but it does make a difference. I mean, you can still tell you're carrying something, and if you're carrying a heavy load, you can still feel it in your shoulders a bit the next day when you're a bit sore or achy. But it's fantastic. I love it, and I just feel I can get so much more in it just because the way it's set out. I mean, I've put all my winter kit in this twice now, and I still managed to get plenty in with plenty of room. You know, I could still put more in if I needed to carry some extra stuff. So if I was going on winter camp for a few days, I could stick even more food in or some more water in or whatever I needed. It's not fit to bursting. And it also, again, it all depends on how you pack it. if you rush, and it's like when you go on a holiday, you pack everything neatly, don't you, so it all fits in your suitcase properly. But when the day before you come back from holidays and you're packing it all back in, it never seems to fit because it's just all rammed in and you don't do it as tidily. And it's just the same with your rucksack if you know, if you use that. But I got the Osprey liner, rucksack liner for this, the 70 litre liner, rather than carrying loads of different things in loads of different dry sacks. I decided to get the based on a bit of recommendation by Paul Mesner, who some of you might have heard of. He basically said, yeah, get a pack liner instead, and I was like, I got that, and I got it at a decent price because I got a big discount on it, and it's worth it because it's much easier to then get all your kit out of your bag at the end. You know, when you get to your camp, you can just tip it all out. It's much easier. I'll pull it all out in one big bag. So yeah, so that's that one. Highly recommend that. I'm not going to review it, but that's my thoughts on it. It's a cracking piece of kit, and you know, if you can afford one, get one. And like I say, if you didn't know, the brain, as I call it, on the top, this like bit here, this is totally detachable and it takes it down to a 56 litre, I think. Or so if you wanted to go out for a bit of a lighter summer camp and you didn't need all that space, you can take that off, and it still has a flap here, so you can still cut down there. So definitely worth it. I mean, there's there's millions of makes out there of kit. I love Osprey. I've been using Osprey for donkey's years, ever since I got a tiny little sack to go running in. And I think they're great bits of kit, solid. I've never had anything tear, never had anything shear off. All the compression straps are really well made. So yeah, but I mean, I know there's a lot of good makes out there. I'm not saying they're better than anybody else, but in my experience, I've never had a bad rucksack, and I've had 4 of them so far. Never had anything tear off or rip, or you know, they're all pretty heavy duty, so well worth having. Okay, I think I'm going to make this the last piece of kit I'm going to talk about, but this is a cracking bit of kit in my favourite colour, orange. This is my Paramo Velez Smock. Now, you'll have seen I've probably briefly talked about this on other videos, but this is a cracking bit of kit. I'm not going to talk about the science or the ins and outs of it, but I'll just give you a quick rundown of it. So, I chose the Smock because when I was coming to buy, I'm lucky I get a massive discount via somewhere that gives me, I forgot what it was now, somebody gives me a massive discount, so I got, this should have been, so it should have been 260 I think, and I got it for 170 roughly. But the zip, with the full zip one up the front, it says there's a Smock, the one that had a full zip up the middle was about another 50 quid. And I was like, 50 quid more just because it's got zip down the middle. Now, if you know anything about waterproofs, the less zips on it and less seams, there's less chance of water getting in. So I thought, well, why would you pay 50 quid more for a piece of kit which is a slight percentage chance of, you know, of letting more rain in? So anyway, so I went for the Smock version. It's got the usual pull cord. I'm not going to put it on. Pull cords to cinch in your hood. It's got an adjustable wire thing. It's got a massive hood, that, so definitely helmet compatible. I've not had to wear a helmet yet, but definitely go over a helmet, that, plenty of space. It's got a huge, well, it's not huge, it's a reasonable size breast pocket there. Good to put your phone in if you're using it for navigation. You could fit a map there at a push. And that's Spencer. If you've got a normal little fold down map, that'll fit in there. And a lot of people moan about the venting options because they don't have any pit zips, but it does have, you see, it zips up from the bottom, so you can properly let the flap go free there. So I'll tell you what, I'll put it on. It'll be easy to see what. So when I stand up, my head's probably going to disappear out of shot. Or maybe not. Yeah. So yeah, you've got your zips there. So you can have it totally zipped out. So you've got it totally flapping there, so you can totally get some air flowing there. Or you can do it the other way. You can have it almost like pit zips, so they've got zips at the top as well, so you can just let in a bit of ventilation there. It's got adjustable cuffs. The only thing I was thinking about this is these cuffs are far too big. and I don't think there's enough Velcro to, but I mean, fully adjustable. So if needs be, you can get some big mittens in there or just some normal gloves, fully adjustable. So got the hood up. So it's right up there. Again, you can cinch these things in as usual, adjust your peak. You know, I've been out in some absolutely torrential downpours in this, and it's been absolutely fine. Not a problem with it at all. I mean, it depends how fashion conscious you are. If you want to look for the fashion conscious, you might not want one of these because they are a bit retro, but I love it. I just want to say. What else can I say about it? As far as the technology is concerned, I won't talk about it in detail, but when I went out the other day, it wasn't raining, but I use it as a winter coat because the way it's worked, I mean, it's super comfy inside. It's like triple layered. You probably can't see that, but the type of material, it's really nice and soft on your skin. So if you're just wearing a t-shirt underneath, it's lovely. But it draws, I've read that it's supposed to imitate a bit like animal's fur, and it draws the sweat to the surface. So I went out the other day and it was dry. It was freezing cold, but by the time I got walking, I got right sweat on. And I noticed that it was wet on the surface because it's drawing all your sweat out. You know, it wicks the sweat away so that the sweat gets to the surface of the material. And that way, obviously, it gets the atmosphere and dries out into the atmosphere. So it's really clever in that respect. Also, I noticed it's really quick drying as well. So when I've got in my tent after a couple of months ago, or maybe longer now, went out on a really long hike, got absolutely soaked, got into my tent, pretty fed up to be fair, and I was soaked. And I just thought, well, I'll keep this on for a bit because it's just wet through. And in half an hour I've been in my tent in probably 10-11 degree temperatures, it virtually dried. So they are quick drying, and they are so comfy. So yeah, again, they're not the cheapest, but, and I know there's people that argue, and I'll argue the same. You get Gore-Tex, Gore-Tex Pro, etc. If you buy a Gore-Tex Pro jacket that's by, say, Craghoppers, and it's £100, I'm not saying they do Gore-Tex Pro, but for argument's sake, you buy a Gore-Tex Pro £100 jacket from Craghoppers, or you buy a £500 Gore-Tex Pro jacket from Arc'teryx, or Through Dark, you know, all these other makes that are charging extortionate money. How much better can it be? I mean, I'm not arguing. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. But if it's the same material made by the same manufacturer and it's a Gore-Tex Pro material, there's only so different it can be. So to a degree, you are paying for the name. Now the difference with Paramo gear is don't use Gore-Tex or Pertex or any of that. It's its own kind of science. So it's slightly different. You pay a lot for it. I say this was 100 and I think I paid 170 for it. You can get them cheap, and there's often sales, and there's a second shop, I believe. But most people I know who've used Paramo swear by it, and I love it now. And I was a bit like, should I take the risk? If you can afford to spend a little bit more on good quality kit, then your body will thank you for it. Because if you're out in the fells or out in the Scottish Highlands and you get caught short because the weather turns and you've not got the correct kit, you'll know about it. So I kind of think, well, you know, most occasions I'm out, I'm in somewhere that's not too far from anywhere. But even in the Lake District, it can drop to -10 and lower in bad weather. So if you get caught out on the tops and you've not got the right gear, then you know you could be let down seriously, and it could be a life on the line. So if you're going to be doing something like that, then you need to put a bit of money in your kit, because you're investing in your life, aren't you, really? So anyway, I know this has been a bit of a different type of video to my usual type, but hopefully you'll have enjoyed it and I've taken something away from it. Failing that, you know, I kind of dig. So I'm on days off at the moment from work, and well, because of lockdown and because the weather's horrible, it's peeing down here. I can't really go anywhere, so I thought, well, what can I do? I'll make a video. I've got another idea for another little short one, a little fun video that I'm going to try and do this week if I get a chance. But hopefully, you've taken something from this, even if it's what watch not to buy, or not to listen to me anymore, or not to buy what I've bought. But all the kit I've listed, you know, I can't compare it to millions of other bits of kit because I'm not an outdoor reviewer. You know, I don't work in a store where I can access tons of kit. All I can tell you is what I've bought. I've not been disappointed with any of it. I'm really happy with it. So hopefully you'll take something from that. Anyway, that's all for today. I hope you like this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't, give it a thumbs up anyway. Don't give it a thumbs down. People shouldn't give thumbs down. There shouldn't be a thumbs down icon at all. So if you liked it, click the thumbs up and give us a subscribe. and feel free to share it or tag someone in it if you think they'll benefit from it. And please feel free to check out all my other videos. Most of them are a lot more interesting than this one. Okay, have a good day. See you later.